In the world of crime, some stories are darker than others, and the case of John Sweeney stands out for its sheer brutality. Known for its disturbing artwork and poetry, Sweeney's mind was a labyrinth of dark thoughts. Over 25 years, he became one of the most dangerous men to ever face court in the UK. His story is a chilling reminder of the evil that can hide behind a seemingly normal exterior. This video contains descriptions of violent acts, including murder and dismemberment, which may be distressing to some viewers, so please proceed with caution. Also, this video is intended for educational and informational purposes only. The content discussed is based on publicly available information and is not intended to sensationalize or exploit the event described. So with that said, let's start with the case. John Sweeney grew up in Skelmersdale, near Liverpool. He had a rough childhood with a strict, tyrannical father. As he grew older, Sweeney became a carpenter and drifted from job to job across the UK and Europe. He never stayed in one place for too long and didn't form any lasting relationships. In the mid-1980s, as unemployment soared in the UK, Sweeney, like many others, was desperate for work. He moved to London, hoping for a fresh start. It was here that his life took an unexpected turn. In December 1986, Sweeney's life changed when he met Melissa Halstead, an attractive American model from Ohio. They met at a fashion shoot where Melissa was working as a photographer and Sweeney as a carpenter. They quickly became a couple and started living together in some of London's most exclusive areas. Melissa was drawn to Sweeney's lifestyle. They would spend time together drawing sketches and smoking cannabis. Sweeney believed he had an artistic side, which seemed to attract Melissa. She was interested in the arts and they bonded over this shared passion. For Melissa, coming to London was an exciting adventure, although she missed her family and friends back in the US. Despite her initial attraction to Sweeney, their relationship soon revealed a darker side. Behind Sweeney's carefree facade was a vicious temper and sadistic rage. He was a heavy user of drugs and alcohol, and this only fueled his violent behavior. Sweeney became abusive, both physically and mentally. He was convicted twice for assaulting Melissa, but she assured her family that it was love, despite the love-hate nature of the relationship. Melissa's sister visited them in their Chelsea flat and quickly took a dislike to Sweeney. She saw acrimony between them and felt that Sweeney was not right for her sister. In 1987, when Melissa's UK visa expired, immigration services deported her. Her family urged her to escape Sweeney's controlling grip, so she fled to Vienna, hoping to start anew, ready to let go. He followed Melissa to Austria, finding out where she lived and breaking into her flat. In a fit of rage, he attacked her with a hammer, cracking her skull. This brutal assault led to his arrest and 12-month sentence in an Austrian prison. During this time, Melissa called her sister, revealing her inner turmoil. She was torn between her attraction to Sweeney and the need to escape his violent grasp. Melissa even told her sister that if anything happened to her, it would be Sweeney's doing, and he would leave nothing behind. Despite the severity of the attack, Melissa, crippled by fear and anxiety, appealed for Sweeney's early release. He managed to charm and manipulate her into believing he was sorry. Once released, they moved to Amsterdam, hoping for a fresh start. Initially, life in Amsterdam seemed to settle down. They rented a flat and Melissa found work. The landlord thought they were model tenants, paying rent on time and causing no trouble. This calm period didn't last long. Later that year, Melissa made a phone call to her family in America. Tragically, no one was home to take the call. She left a message wishing her mom a happy birthday, saying she would get a fax machine soon. This was the last time her family heard from her. Along with Sweeney in Amsterdam, their relationship continued to be plagued by physical abuse and controlling behavior. Sweeney's violent tendencies stretched back years to his first marriage in the northwest of England. John Sweeney's story had already been marked by instability and violence. He grew up with 2 brothers and a sister in a strict household. As a young man, he married Anne Bramley, and they had 2 children, but their marriage was troubled from the start. Sweeney's behavior was unstable, fueled by heavy drinking, leading Anne to ask him to leave. One day, Anne was visiting a neighbor when they heard a noise next door. A police officer searched the house and found Sweeney hiding with a hammer and an axe. Anne and her children relocated to a secret location, and Sweeney was found guilty of a breach of peace, ordered to stay away from her. Sweeney moved to London, where he met Melissa Halstead. Despite their tumultuous relationship and his imprisonment, Melissa chose to stay with him. They moved to Amsterdam in 1989, hoping for a peaceful life. But the cycle of violence continued. Hey everyone, thanks for sticking with us so far. We are a new channel and your support means everything to us. So please help us grow by clicking the subscribe button, leaving a comment, liking and sharing our videos. Now let's get back to the case. Their landlord returned from holiday to find their apartment empty. All that remained was a large mirror. Weeks later, a duffel bag containing a dismembered female body was found in a Rotterdam canal. Investigation went cold as the body couldn't be identified. Melissa's family, concerned about her well-being, contacted Dutch police. Detectives found no evidence of foul play in her deserted apartment, and with no means of contacting Melissa or Sweeney, the investigation ended. Unbeknownst to authorities, Sweeney had fled the country. His violent past and sinister actions were far from over. 2 years after disappearing from Amsterdam, John Sweeney reappeared in London. He met nurse Delia Balmer in a Camden bar on a quiet bank holiday Monday. Delia, who had sworn off men due to past relationship disasters, couldn't help but be charmed by Sweeney's attention. They quickly became close, and Sweeney moved into a flat in Kentish Town. Delia thought she had found someone who cared for her. Sweeney's bohemian lifestyle, his love for drawing and sketching attracted her. But soon, Sweeney's controlling and violent nature began to show. He didn't let Delia leave the flat without him and even followed her to the bathroom. She felt trapped and in constant danger. After 2 years of psychological torment, Delia finally mustered the courage to ask Sweeney to leave. This rejection pushed Sweeney over the edge. He tied Delia to the bed and ranted at her all night, brandishing a knife and gun. Delia, terrified, feared for her life. Sweeney decided to let Delia go to work, hoping her colleagues wouldn't raise the alarm if she showed up. Delia didn't report the incident out of fear, but changed the locks when Sweeney left for Europe. However, he returned, furious, and attacked Delia again. This time, our work colleagues called the police, who arrived just in time. Sweeney was arrested for assault and other offenses. When the police searched his belongings, they found a killer kit containing rope, gloves, and duct tape. Sweeney was held behind bars, awaiting trial for the terrifying assault on Delia. But in a cruel twist, he was released on bail due to a Christmas amnesty for prisoners. On December 22, 1994, just days after his release, Sweeney attacked Delia again as she returned home from work, brutally bashing her with the wooden handle of an axe and stabbing her multiple times. Delia's desperate screams alerted a neighbor, who rushed to her aid with a baseball bat. The neighbor's intervention forced Sweeney to flee, leaving Delia gravely injured. Delia was rushed to the hospital with life-threatening wounds. Meanwhile, Sweeney, now on the run, visited his former wife, Anne Bramley, imposing himself on her family for a night. He chillingly told his son he had done things that would make anyone's hair stand on end. Despite an active manhunt, Sweeney managed to evade capture. He continued to move from job to job across the UK and Europe, using different aliases and being paid in cash to avoid detection. While Delia recovered enough to provide more information, the police began to uncover the terrifying extent of Sweeney's past. Delia recalled seeing a photo of a young woman among Sweeney's belongings. He had told her it was his American girlfriend, Melissa, then boasted about killing her and 2 German men, dismembering their bodies and throwing them into a canal. This revelation prompted detectives from the Metropolitan Police to contact their Dutch counterparts. To their shock, the Dutch police confirmed they had a record of a dismembered body found in a Rotterdam canal in 1990. Furthermore, a second body had been found in Amsterdam 2 years later, also dismembered in a similar manner. The Dutch authorities contacted Melissa Alsted's family in Ohio for a DNA sample. The sample was compared with the remains found in Amsterdam, but the results were negative. This was a bitter setback for Melissa's family, and her disappearance remained a mystery. In February 2001, 6 years after Sweeney's brutal attack on Delia, 3 young boys fishing in London's Regent Canal made a horrifying discovery. They found several odals containing body parts. The body was later identified as Paula Fields, a 31-year-old Liverpudlian woman who had moved to London but fallen into a spiral of drugs and prostitution. The police now had another gruesome murder linked to Sweeney. Paula's friends revealed she had been involved with a man named Joe Scouse, who turned out to be Sweeney, using another alias. Police tracked Sweeney to a house in Finsbury Park, where he was living with his brother Anthony. Undercover officers observed Sweeney and waited for the right moment to arrest him. When they finally did, they found a cache of weapons and incriminating items at his property. Sweeney was charged with the attempted murder of Delia and firearm offenses, but there wasn't enough evidence to charge him with Paula's murder. As police looked deeper into Sweeney's life, they discovered a disturbing collection of artwork and poetry in his possessions. These dark and sinister pieces offered a glimpse into Sweeney's twisted mind. Among the sketches were self-portraits labeled Scalp Hunter and images depicting extreme violence. Some drawings contained hidden messages about his victims, including Melissa. One significant piece of evidence was a poem describing Melissa being fed to the fishes and chopped into bits. These clues were chillingly accurate, aligning with the dismembered bodies found in the canals. Despite these findings, Melissa's case fell outside the Metropolitan Police jurisdiction, preventing British detectives from further investigating her disappearance. In 2008, a breakthrough came when a detective from Holland contacted the Metropolitan Police. A newly formed cold case team in Rotterdam had found a blood sample from the 1990 postmortem. The sample matched Melissa Halstead's DNA, confirming her fate. This discovery allowed British and Dutch police to collaborate on the case. They built a strong case against Sweeney, linking him to the murders of both Melissa and Paula Fields. The investigation was complex, involving language barriers and the need to present evidence in a way acceptable to both jurisdictions. In March 2011, John Sweeney's trial began at the Old Bailey. He was charged with 2 counts of murder and 1 count of perverting the course of justice by disposing of Paula's body. Sweeney pleaded not guilty, but his own artwork and writings proved damning. The jury saw through his defense, recognizing the dangerous man he was. After a 4-week trial, Sweeney was found guilty of all charges and sentenced to a whole life tariff, meaning he would spend the rest of his life in prison. This brought some closure to the families of Melissa and Paula, though the pain of their loss remained. John Sweeney's case is a stark reminder of the evil that lurks behind a seemingly ordinary facade. His brutal actions and the horrors he inflicted on his victims will never be forgotten. While Sweeney rots in prison, the investigation continues, with detectives believing there may be more victims yet to be discovered. Melissa Halstead and Delia Palmer experienced escalating violence that started with emotional abuse and grew into physical assault. Recognizing early signs of abuse, such as controlling behavior, excessive jealousy, and physical threats, is crucial. These are red flags that should never be ignored. Domestic violence often follows a cyclical pattern: tension building, an abusive incident, reconciliation, and calm. This cycle can trap victims in a seemingly endless loop of fear and hope, making it incredibly challenging to live. Understanding this pattern can help in identifying and intervening in abusive relationships. Leaving an abusive relationship is fraught with difficulties: fear of the abuser, financial dependency, emotional attachment, and concerns for personal safety can all serve as significant barriers. Melissa's repeated returns to Sweeney, despite his violence, underscore how these factors complicate the decision to leave. Also, the involvement of friends and family can make a significant difference. Melissa's sisters' awareness and concern were crucial. Even though they ultimately couldn't save her, it's important for loved ones to stay vigilant, offer support, and encourage victims to seek help. Education and awareness campaigns about domestic violence can help prevent abuse. Teaching young people about healthy relationships and conflict resolution can reduce the incidence of domestic violence in future generations. Thanks for watching. See you in the next upload.